The story begins in a rural research clinic on the outskirts of northern Poland, an aging brick building surrounded by dense pine forest and fog that clings low to the ground in early winter. Inside, in a small observation room lined with reinforced glass, sits a boy no older than 10. Pale, still, expressionless. His name on paper is Jakub, but none of the researchers call him that. They refer to him only as Subject A. Jakub had no documented parents, no birth records, and no family registered in any national system. In fact, the authorities weren't even looking for him when he was found. 3 hikers had discovered the boy wandering along a mountain path near Zakopane. He was barefoot. His clothes were decades outdated, stitched by hand, and his skin showed no signs of dirt or exposure, as if he had simply appeared there. The police attempted to question him, offering food, water, even toys. Jakub only stared, head slightly tilted, as though analyzing something no one else could perceive. And then, finally, he opened his mouth and spoke. Not Polish. Not Russian. Not German. The words were smooth, rhythmic, tonal, like a chant from another world. Officers attempted to run the audio through translation software. The program returned a message they'd never seen. No human language detected. Jakub continued speaking for several minutes, voice calm and steady, as if reciting from memory. That was when the police realized something else. The boy had no accent, no hesitation, and no breaks in articulation. Whatever he was speaking, he spoke it fluently. Within hours, Jakub was transferred to the research clinic. They believed it was just a psychological case. They had no idea they were about to uncover a language that shouldn't exist. And that the boy wasn't speaking to them. He was repeating what he heard from something, or someone, else. We are not alone. That was the translation scientists would later agree upon. And this was only the beginning. The research team assembled the next morning, linguists, neurologists, and a psychologist specializing in rare developmental disorders. They weren't prepared for what they found. Jakub was awake, sitting cross-legged on his cot, eyes open but unfocused. He wasn't blinking. Dr. Helena Wojcik, head linguist on the project, entered first and began a simple greeting. Jakub, do you understand me? Nothing. She tried again in German. Then in Russian. Still silence. Then she asked calmly, What language were you speaking yesterday? Jakub's pupils constricted sharply, as if a switch had been thrown. He turned his head toward her and began speaking again, but differently this time. The cadence was faster, fragments of sound layered on top of each other, almost like 2 people speaking through him at once. His voice remained soft and controlled, but the syllables were unlike anything heard by human ears. Ashatu vilen dorai, sharan kalu ven. Helena stiffened. Her assistant slowly backed toward the door. After 30 seconds, Jakub stopped. He exhaled a single shaky breath, the only sign he was human. Helena remained steady. What did you learn that language? The boy blinked for the first time. From the lights. A cold ripple of confusion moved through the room. What lights? Helena pressed. Jakub pointed upward, not at the fluorescent ceiling lamps, but at the air itself, as if something invisible hovered there. His voice lowered to a whisper. They speak when the world is sleeping. Helena asked him to draw what he meant. Jakub took the pencil, stared at the paper, and began sketching fast, too fast for a child his age. When he finished, the room fell silent. It was a perfect geometric pattern, a 3-dimensional spiral of interlocking shapes matching no known writing system, but eerily structured, almost mathematical. The psychologist leaned in. This isn't a drawing, it's a script. Helena agreed. He's not just repeating sounds. He's translating. For the first time since the study began, they realized the truth. Jakub wasn't learning the language. He already knew it. And whatever taught him wasn't human. The research team needed proof, not just unusual speech, but measurable data. So they wired Jakub for a full neurological scan. Electrodes were placed across his scalp, heart monitors attached, and a high-density EEG machine was rolled into the room. They expected confusion or fear. Children usually cried during setup, Jakob didn't move. His pulse remained steady at 42 beats per minute, abnormally low for a child. Dr. Sadowski, the neurologist, studied the readings. "This can't be right," he muttered. The brainwave activity on the monitor showed patterns not found in typical human cognition. A dense burst of synchronized gamma activity, the kind seen in advanced memory recall or deep meditation, but lasting far longer than any adult could sustain. Helena began the test. "Jakob, repeat this sentence. The cat drinks milk." He didn't respond verbally. He stared at the ceiling, then began writing on the bedsheet with his finger, tracing symbols in the air like invisible ink. The symbols matched the geometric script from yesterday. Sadowski checked the monitor again. "They're spiking. He's not recalling a language. He's accessing something." Helena tried a different tactic. "What does this language mean? Is it from Earth?" Jakob tilted his head, as if listening to something unseen. "Older than Earth." The researchers exchanged uneasy glances. Helena asked, "Who taught it to you?" He answered without hesitation. "They come when I sleep. They show me places, not here." She leaned forward. "Places where?" Jakob raised his hand and drew a perfect star map in the air, not random dots, but plotted coordinates with angular precision. Sadowski froze, recognizing the pattern. "That's not a doodle. That resembles orbital trajectory mapping." Jakob's eyes flickered. "It is a door. A place where time does not move." The machine spiked again, as if his brain was processing information beyond human capacity. Sadowski whispered to Helena, "He isn't hallucinating, he's translating data." When they asked Jakob how he knew any of this, his answer chilled every person in the room. "I remember, but it isn't my memory." Helena swallowed hard. If the boy was telling the truth, they weren't studying a language. They were studying a transmission. Something, or someone, was communicating through him. The team needed a controlled environment, so they moved Jakob into Observation Room 3, a soundproof chamber with a one-way glass window and no distractions. A camera recorded every movement. 2 translators, a neurologist, and a psychologist observed from the control booth. The test was simple. They placed a blank sheet of paper in front of Jakob. "Write," Helena instructed gently. "Write anything in the language you hear." Jakob sat still. For 30 seconds he didn't move, didn't blink. Then, as if something took over his motor functions, his hand began to move at impossible speed. The pen scratched across the paper, forming angular symbols, looping spirals, geometric shapes. The strokes were swift and precise. No hesitation. No correction. Sadowski leaned forward, stunned. "He's not thinking. He's copying something streaming into his mind." When Jakob stopped, the page was filled edge to edge. Helena slid a second paper. "Now write the translation." Without hesitation, Jakob wrote. "Before the first sun was born, there was sound. From sound came shape." Translator Kowalski stared at the symbols. "Impossible. The grammar structure isn't human. It's mathematical." He scanned the shapes Jakob had drawn and suddenly froze. "These aren't letters. They're..." Helena finished his sentence. "Coordinates." Coordinates arranged into 3-dimensional mapping, as if showing a location in space, not on Earth. Jakob lifted his head. "They're waiting," he whispered. "Who is waiting?" Helena asked. Jakob pointed at the ceiling. "The ones who speak inside my dreams." He began tapping the table with 2 fingers, slow, rhythmic, deliberate. Sadowski recognized the pattern. "That's Morse code." They recorded the taps, ran them through a decoder, and the translation appeared on the monitor. "Door open." Before anyone could react, every monitor in the room flickered. The EEG machine spiked. Lights dimmed. An alarm beeped as Jakob's heart rate dropped again, to 34 BPM. Then Jakob whispered, "You open the door. Now they see you." Helena quickly hit the intercom. "Jakob, who sees us?" He slowly turned toward the glass, eyes focusing on someone, or something, on the other side of the one-way mirror. Except there was nothing there. The research team was silent. Jakob smiled. They can see you, even if you can't see them. Observation Room 3 went silent. Jakob was still staring at the one-way mirror, smiling faintly, not at his reflection, but as if someone stood on the other side, watching him. Helena stepped back from the glass. He's making eye contact. Impossible, Sadowski muttered. He can't see through this. Still smiling, Jakob lifted his finger and traced a shape in the air, 3 intersecting circles. The exact geometric symbol he had drawn earlier. Translator Kowalski whispered. He's not looking at us. He's acknowledging someone. Helena hit the emergency override. End the session. Now. The observation door unlocked, and 2 guards stepped inside. One reached toward Jakob. Jakob spoke a single sentence in the unknown language. The guard froze. Not frightened. Not confused. Frozen. Motionless. Eyes wide, breathing shallow. Pulse irregular, the neurologist called out. Heart rate? Helena demanded. 160 and climbing. The second guard reached for Jakob, and he collapsed too. Both men lay on the floor, conscious but unable to move. Their hearts pounded like they were sprinting for their lives. Jakob blinked and returned to Polish, voice calm. They shouldn't touch me. The room lights flickered once, twice, then stabilized. Helena grabbed him by the shoulders. Who are you talking to? Who are they? Jakob didn't drop her gaze. I don't talk to them. They talk through me. Helena exhaled shakily. Are they people? Jakob shook his head. They are what comes before people. He pointed to the paper filled with symbols. Those words are not language. They are memory. Kowalski leafed through the pages, his eyes widening. The symbols formed patterns with repeating cycles, sequences matching molecular geometry and prime number timelines. Sadowski spoke quietly, more to himself than anyone else. This isn't writing. It's data. Helena turned back to Jakob. What happens if we continue? What do they want? Jakob held eye contact, perfectly still, perfectly calm. They want you to listen. And then, he gently tapped his temple. Not with your ears. The monitors beeped again, not with irregular heartbeats this time. With rhythm. 3 taps. Pause. 3 taps. Pause. 3 taps. Kowalski recognized it first. It's repeating the same pattern from earlier. Morse code. He typed it into the decoder. The translated message appeared instantly. We remember you. Everyone stared at the screen. Sadowski whispered. How can something that doesn't exist remember us? Jakob tilted his head. Because they were here before you. The air inside the observation room felt heavy, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. Dr. Helena finally spoke. Jakob, why did they freeze the guards? He didn't hesitate. To remind you that you are not in control. The neurologists exchanged uneasy glances. This wasn't defiance. Jakob spoke like someone narrating facts, as if he wasn't part of the decision-making. Helena steadied her voice. Who are they? Jakob slid his gaze upward, toward the ceiling, or beyond it. They don't have names. Your language is too small. Translator Kowalski tried a different angle. If these beings communicate through you, then what are you? A messenger? Jakob shook his head. A door. Sadowski leaned forward, gripping the edge of the table. A door to where? Jakob tapped the stack of papers covered in symbols. Not where. When? Everyone froze. Kowalski blinked. Are you implying time? Jakob tilted his head. Time is the room. Memory is the door. The lights dimmed, not flickering, but dimming, as if something was absorbing the power. On the lab screens, every monitor froze at once, displaying nothing but the 3 intersecting circles Jakob had traced earlier. Helena whispered. This wasn't in the system. The computer froze again. Lines of text began printing automatically. You open the door. You are inside the memory. The words appeared without a command. No keystrokes. No input. Helena lunged forward, trying to shut the system down. It's overriding command access. The printer on the far table came alive, spitting out pages of symbols, not randomly but in perfect alignment, forming spirals, as if the symbols were constructing something. Kowalski grabbed one of the pages off the tray and backed away. These geometric repetitions, this is too structured to be hallucination. This is intelligence. Helena returned her focus to Jakob. What do you want from us? Jakob's eyes softened, not threatening, almost sorrowful. It isn't about what we want. He paused. It's about what you already started. Suddenly, every monitor in the room flashed white. A voice, not spoken, but felt, vibrated in each skull. Not a sound. A thought. Remember. The guards gasped on the floor, movement returning to their limbs. Helena grabbed Jakob's shoulders. What did you just do to them? Jakob answered almost apologetically. I didn't. They did. Sadowski swallowed. They entered our system. What else can they enter? Jakob looked at him with unsettling sympathy. Anything that thinks. The lights returned to full brightness. The room snapped back to reality. Jakob looked around, suddenly small again, a 9-year-old boy in an oversized chair. I'm tired. Helena exhaled shakily. We're done for today. Jakob nodded and whispered. No. We are just beginning. The following morning, the research team met behind locked doors. No press. No university oversight. No official reporting. Just fear. Dr. Sadowski slammed a folder onto the table. We must notify the ministry. This is no longer psychology. This is a national security threat. Helena shook her head. You saw what happened yesterday. Computers froze. Guards froze. If that was real, if something is communicating through Jakob, introducing military involvement could provoke. Provoking what? Sadowski snapped. A child? Helena's voice dropped. Something using a child. Silence. Translator Kowalski flipped through pages of symbols Jakob had created. Overnight, software analysis revealed the terrifying truth. The symbols weren't random. They contained mathematical structures identical to orbital mapping data. Helena read aloud from the printout. These symbols map spatial coordinates, and they form a repeating trajectory that doesn't align with Earth's rotational axis. Kowalski whispered, It's a map of somewhere else. Before anyone could respond, an alarm blared, not loud, just a short chime that signaled someone had entered the observation hallway. The intercom crackled. Jakob is awake. Helena and the team rushed in. Jakob was no longer sitting quietly. He was standing, barefoot on the center of the floor, eyes open, pupils dilated. The lights flickered into a soft blue glow that wasn't part of the room's programmed lighting. In his hands he held the same sheet of symbols from yesterday. He looked at Helena as if expecting her. Would you like to see where language begins? Sadowski barked. Sit down. Now. Jakob didn't move. Instead, the lights dimmed, again not flickering, but obeying. Helena tried to steady her breathing. What do you mean, where language begins? He spread the page across the table. The symbols shifted, rearranging themselves without him touching them. A shape formed. Not a sentence. Not a diagram. A doorway. Kowalski gasped. That's the same geometric pattern carved into stone tablets in Göbekli Tepe. Jakob nodded. That was the last time humans listened. The temperature dropped at least 10 degrees. Every breath became visible. Sadowski reached for the emergency alarm. Jakob looked at him. You can't stop what you already opened. The alarm panel went dead. All power in the facility shut down. For 5 long seconds, nothing. Then, a pulse of light pushed outward from Jakob like a shockwave. Not blinding, soft, like moonlight hitting water. The computers rebooted. But every monitor now showed the same thing. A doorway made of symbols. Counting down. 30. 29. 28. Helena whispered. What happens when it reaches 0? Jakob blinked slowly. You meet them. The countdown flashed across every screen. 27. 26. 25. Each number pulsed like a heartbeat. Helena grabbed Jakob by the shoulders. Stop it! Whatever's happening, stop it! Jakob blinked slowly, as if waking from a dream he didn't choose. I can't, he whispered. They're already aware. The emergency backup lights flickered on, casting long shadows across the floor. Sadowski sprinted to the breaker panel, slamming switches, trying to kill power again. Nothing responded. Generators bypassed, Kowalski murmured. It's like the system isn't connected to our grid anymore. Jakob stepped forward, calm amid the chaos. You shouldn't be afraid, he said. Fear is how they find you. Helena knelt to meet his eyes. Jakob, who is they? He placed a hand against the reinforced observation window and the glass began to ripple, like water disturbed by sound waves. The ones who taught the first humans to speak. Helena felt her skin prickle. Not evolution. Not coincidence. A transfer. On the monitors, more symbols appeared around the countdown, forming constellations, then rotating into alignment. Not with Earth. With something beyond Earth. Sadowski finally lost control. Guards! Sedate him! 2 security officers rushed in with syringes. But halfway across the room, they froze mid-stride, bodies locked, eyes wide. Jakob didn't even look at them. Helena stared at him, whispering, What are you doing to them? I'm not doing anything, he said, voice almost sad. It's the language. It commands physics. The countdown hit 10. 9. 8. Kowalski's voice cracked. If this opens something, it could be a dimensional breach. We have to shut it down. Helena raised her voice, almost shouting. Jakob! If they come here, what do they want? He looked at her with the first trace of emotion she'd ever seen, grief. To finish what they started. The monitors shifted. The doorway on the screen widened, revealing faint silhouettes beyond, tall, indistinct, surrounded by light that looked like a shimmering haze. Helena stepped back. No, this can't be real. Jakob exhaled softly. Remember this moment. 3, 2, 1. Everything went white. Silence. Then, not sound, but a voice inside every mind in the room. Welcome back. When the light faded, Jakob was gone. Not a trace, no footprints, no heat signature, no sign of forced exit. Just a single sheet of symbols lying on the floor where he stood. The doorway on the monitors vanished. Power returned. In the security footage afterward, the timestamp simply skipped 4 minutes, as if reality itself had erased the moment. Jakob was never seen again. The facility was shut down. The research sealed under national security classification. But sometimes, lights in the city flicker without cause. And somewhere in the world, symbols appear where no human ever wrote them. Because Jakob didn't disappear. He returned to the place where language begins.